Another day, another list of summer albums, and another round of sweat. I'm just casually gonna listen to the albums while I'm talking about them for inspiration. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of plug some albums that give me summer vibes. I am a mood reader and I'm also generally a mood listener too. But also, it's honestly an excuse to also talk about a bunch of albums that came out last year that I love, that I wasn't able to talk about because I didn't make videos last year. So now's my opportunity, obviously. So the first album I wanted to talk about is Wilson by Ashe. This was my favorite of hers. I haven't listened to her second album that much, but I really like how Wilson is a lot more indie rock, because I think I've mentioned before, like, that's very much my niche that Wallows opened the musical world of for me. And so I really like the musical elements that feel very dorky and familiar and romantic and nostalgic to me to various degrees. There's a lot of really good guitar lines in this album. I really like some of the ambiance on Hornet's Nest is probably my favorite, but I also really love how the instruments work together on Castle, and Pull the Plug has a fun musical rhythm that mimics exactly what it's talking about. And I really appreciate her self-reflection on the final track, Ashe, and how she also turns it into a pun. Of course, I love puns. But I really appreciate the themes within this album. The reason that I feel like it's very summery is the instrumentation. I not only love indie rock, but I would say it feels very summery to me. I crave it the most when it is summertime, because there's like a lot of muted guitar lines in indie rock that feel very like beachy. But I really like this album in particular because she dwells a lot on aging, and specifically being in your late 20s and working through like relational struggles still, which I very much resonate with, whether romantic or otherwise. And there's a lot of like complicated, contradictory emotions like happening at the same time in her experiences that she's speaking on, and I think that's very relatable in a way that is just like extra complicated in your late 20s, because it's like a lot of people still aren't settled. You feel like you should be settled, and there's that weird pressure, but like simultaneously you're not. But it very much does feel like more meditative vibes. It feels very like poetically meditative in a way that I feel like floral poetry is. That feels very summery to me. And if we want to bring in a literary tie, it reminds me of Lana Del Rey's poetry collection, when Violet Bent Backward Over the Grass, I believe that's what it's called. And so this kind of gives like similar vibes of just, admittedly, I'm looking at her eating fruit in a video right there, but very much the vibe of like laying out in the grass and just being meditative about what's going on in your life. But like the sadness is kind of, it's kind of offset and made up for because of the gorgeous weather outside. So it's like, if you want to be sad, but like not too sad because the weather's like keeping you happy too, I feel like this album is a good depiction of that feeling. So if you want a sad girl summer, but like not too sad, I think Wilson has you covered. The next album I'm gonna mention is probably the most controversial because of what happened to the band in the past year, but I do want to mention it because it is very summery for me. For the sake of Chase, I do want to bring it up because he worked hard on it. And that is I'm Not Afraid of Music Anymore by Coin. This is also rock, very pop rock, happy-go-lucky. I think actually the next two albums are like very similar in that vein. but this is much more of a happy-go-lucky vibe compared to Ashe's more sad nostalgia meditations. And I really appreciate It's Hard to Care About Everything, which is the opening track. I love the Growing song, and I love Strawberry Jam. Those are definitely the standouts for me. I haven't listened to this one as many times, but what I really like about this album and this sort of happy-go-lucky vibe in general, with the guitar and drums and your classic rock instrumentation, is it's basically the lyrical process of finding the silver lining to difficulties. And so it's mainly just hopeful. And I think it really encapsulates how summer like comes around to bring hope again, that even though there are seasons of barrenness, there will again and is again a season of fruit and flourishing. That's why I love happy-go-lucky vibes in the summer. I don't think I have them on this list, but the band Bad Sons is perfect at this vibe if you ever just want pure happy-go-lucky. I feel like I tend to be a sad girl, so I love to counteract that with happy-go-lucky music vibes to really get myself out of a funk when I've been sad a little too long. So this is the perfect vibe for that. So if you want the same happy-go-lucky vibes, but maybe less controversy, or if you feel weird about Coin, then I would tell you to listen to Water the Flowers, Pray for a Garden by Valley. This one also came out last summer, and I think I actually do like this one more than Coins. It is a lot more just genuinely happy and genuinely enjoying life, and really just actively choosing to dance no matter what, both literally in the instrumentation and metaphorically in the lyrics. There's really not any song on here I dislike. I love Let It Rain. It's a very like soothing, quiet, rainy, muggy summer morning. When you like wake up and you know you can just take it slow, and there's that calming ambiance outside to the day. That is very much the vibe of that song. The one I've probably played the most is When You Know Someone, which is a lot more like sentimental and nostalgic, but overall this album is just a boatload of fun, and it's also more so than the previous album, like choosing to have optimism, actively choosing to cope with optimism. And I think what I love about When You Know Someone is it has harmonica, and that is such a happy-go-lucky vibe to me instrumentally. And so dancing is also like a coping mechanism that I love when I'm down. And so this is the perfect album to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get out of a funk, I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna have fun no matter what has just happened. And so honestly, this album is probably the best coping mechanism on the list to just completely get out of your head and into your body. So for that alone, I would highly recommend it. And it very much gives the essence of sunshine of like, nope, we're gonna like refuel with vitamin D and really just have a more consistently optimistic outlook and believe that the glass is half full, even when we don't feel like it sometimes. And so that's what I really appreciate this album for. The next album I'm gonna talk about is incredibly bittersweet for me. It is Song and Dance by Joy Again. This was their debut album, and also they broke up before this album was released. Crazy. They were gracious enough to still give us the album, but it's so bittersweet because like no one will ever hear it live. But of course I had to bring it up and make sure that everyone listens to it, because they might be dead, but we're not, and the album certainly is not. This album is very like crunchy garage rock, very messy. Definitely like probably one of, if not the like messiest production I listened to, but I really, it's very distinctive for that, and I think they do it very well. They've had radio hits in the past, so like I'm sure you'll recognize them if you listen to it. But Apples and Peaches is definitely my favorite song. I've listened to it so many times. I do just love Shuby because it's so strange, and My Big Sky emotionally just like pulls my heart out and like crushes it on the ground. I just lost an earbud. But I needed it so badly last summer and played it so many times because I was feeling so angsty last summer. And so, yeah. So obviously I would say if you generally just want to be more angsty and let your like chaoticness and messiness come out in the summer, this would definitely be the album to do that with. It's giving like driving to the beach and just wanting really chaotic vibes, because sometimes you just want to like roll the windows down and like be messy and let the wind blow in your hair, and also listen to something that's like super crunchy. So I feel like it is the vibe of your hair just being super messy from the wind, but you're having so much fun. So put it on when you're in that mood and when you're literally doing that, because it's like the most crunchy, messy album you could possibly do that with. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The next one is definitely the most emo album, but sometimes you do just need to be full emo. But also it's very soothing and calm and soft and gentle while processing pain. And that is Crack a Smile, Come On Stay a While by Abby Holiday. I love Abby. I bought a shirt from Abby herself. She was such a joy. I got to tell her we're like angsty souls together. This album is like gently leading you through family wounds and like childhood wounds, but it's much more like singer-songwriter folk meets some electropop. And I will say the final track, Spiral, this is probably, out of all the albums I've mentioned so far, this is the one I do not skip a single song on any listen, and I've listened to it a lot more than any of the other albums I've mentioned so far. I'm obsessed with every single song, but Butterfly Song, the penultimate track, into Spiral. If you don't listen to anything else, please listen to Butterfly Song and Spiral, because Butterfly Song, I'm gonna put it on. Also, oh my gosh, I would like to plug that she has a 3-track mini movie she made from 3 of the songs on this album, and it's so good, and you need to go to YouTube and you need to go watch it. I think it's called like Crack a Smile, Come and Stay a While, like short film or something like that. So the 3 songs in that track are, I will put the link in the description, because everyone needs to love Abby, please. I've watched it multiple times. It's 14 minutes. It's Abby Holiday, Crack a Smile, Come On Stay a While, the short film. Gosh, I can't even explain to you, you just have to watch it. So the first song in the film is Earth Eating Tree. The second one's Butterfly Song. I can't. Butterfly Song. I shan't get over Butterfly Song. And then she interludes with part of Spiral. And then the third track is Think Before I Speak. Steve Martin is fantastic though. They're literally all fantastic. And I would say this is also the most raw album in terms of what she explores lyrically, discussing her wounds, discussing her relationship with her siblings and her parents and her partner and her friends, her relationship with religion and her relationship with mental health. And as you can imagine, that's what Spiral is about. And I think based on the short film, Butterfly Song has a lot to do with her grandma, but it's such a gentle homage to grief. It's so beautiful and it's so cathartic. And there's other great songs on grief that I would always love to share maybe in the future, but this one is just so, it's so precise in grief as love, specifically, in a way that is so healing. And then it goes into Spiral, and Spiral is as much a lyrical experience as it is a musical experience. The moving parts and the instrumentation are insane. Like, the most I've ever felt anxiety and depression captured in a sound. Spiral is incredible, and I would highly recommend it just because it showcases our mental illnesses so well without words, and simultaneously like shows the deep fatigue you go through from the waves of mental struggle crashing upon you, and the fears that brings up in you towards how you relate to others. It's so genuine. It is just lifelong cycles that you have to go through, and you're so sick of them, so surely other people must be getting sick of them too, but yet feeling like no matter how many times this happens, like that you're always met with love, and it's just so beautiful. Please listen to Crack a Smile, Come on, Stay a While. I don't think you'll regret it. I think even if it's not your type of music, it will lyrically be some type of salve for a wide range of things you could be going through, and I think that makes it worth it. Absolutely. Vibe-wise and summer-wise in particular, I would say, because of the short film, it does feel like sitting by the water at dusk and contemplating, or walking through the forest and contemplating. So whether you live by water or you don't, it's gonna meet you in nature somewhere. So then we have some soothing and happy folk vibes with John Foreman's album In Bloom. This one is definitely for the West Coasters, people who are by the ocean and also by the desert, and that can be seen most explicitly in the song In Bloom. But this is more of a spiritual album. It is a Christian album, but it's also about celebrating relationships and what all God has brought you through, and promises that he has for you, despite anything you may be going through or will go through. And Abby Holiday actually is on one of the tracks. She's on track 9, Cheap Wine and Expensive Conversation. Did not mean to put those back to get back. Forgot until I saw the track list, honestly, that she even was on one. But it is a very more so calm, soothing, and sunny through the sunroof driving vibe compared to Joy Again's chaotic driving vibe. It kind of feels like that calm but flutter of excitement when you're driving to vacation and you're just anticipating like relaxation and anticipating just getting to step out of routine and into like having consistent rest and being soothed and cared for. So I would recommend this when you're like just about to start vacation, but you haven't yet. And I think there's a cool spiritual metaphor there too, honestly, of like, we have peace and hope and excitement because we know what we're anticipating will happen, and we know that it will bring like so much peace and so much contentment. And so similarly, the joy of vacations and trips can provide that same metaphor, and that's really cool. The next one, it is a shame I have not listened to this in so long, and I need to definitely make up for that this month. And that is Only God Was Above Us by Vampire Weekend. This album is... This album is everything, okay? It's just everything, every type of vibe that I love about summer, like mashed together. The calm, the chaos, the nostalgia, the meditation, and yeah, it just makes me want to swim in the lake, drive by the lake, do anything and everything that you would do in the summer, like lay under a tree. Like there's like nothing about summer this album doesn't remind me of doing. This album definitely has the most musical diversity and unique elements throughout. They are always very like unpredictable and chaotic in how they produce songs, and are really good at keeping songs interesting by not having anything instrumentally like happen too many times. So that always makes their albums fun. And they also tend to have random snippets of earworms in different songs that will get stuck in your head. I had Mary Boone stuck in my head for a while, just like Mary Boone, like nothing more than just Mary Boone. Connect is definitely my favorite and maybe the most chaotic track. It changes tempo several times and it goes in like 50 billion different directions, but it's so much fun. I think I just really enjoy the chaotic vibe. Yeah. I also love Prep School Gangsters and honestly love all the tracks on this, and I'm still appalled that it has been way too long since I've streamed this entire album. So that's embarrassing. I always love the experience of listening to any of their songs because it's always like you don't know what's gonna come out of their mouths next, or the next verse, or the next chorus, or what the next riff could possibly be. Like their music is so unpredictable because it's so all over the place. And maybe that would stress some people out. So if you don't like very chaotic music, you're probably not gonna like it. But if you like to see like the far-reaching range of like how many different sounds and styles can be in one album, this is definitely the album with the most musical diversity on this list. So maybe check it out. I feel like Vampire Weekend can be an acquired taste as well. I didn't always love them, but like they're so distinctive and they're really so formative in the indie rock space. And I think like sometimes you don't like something at first because it is so unconventional and different, but actually like that can tend to end up being some of the best stuff because it means they're not being like anyone else, and that's actually really cool musically when you think about it. So I always get excited about their music for that reason. The last album I wanted to list today, the 8th one, is The Process by Judah and the Lion. I briefly mentioned this in a previous video, but I do want to acknowledge that no matter what time of year it is or what mood you are in, sometimes you're going through it, and loss and grief is a huge part of life for people for a billion different reasons. And it's not just when death happens, but it's when relationships are broken or end, or your expectations are unmet, or life just isn't going how you thought it would, disappointments. Grief is inescapable, and it comes in so many different forms that I think we could always afford to talk about more. And so I really think this could go on any seasonal list, but I do want to especially mention it for summer, because sometimes summer can be hard because there's this like external pressure, whether it's the weather or seeing people doing a billion different things they don't normally do in like the winter time, to either feel like you're missing out, you're not measuring up, feeling this pressure to like, you have to be happy and having fun in this season, and if you're not, something's wrong with you. And so this is a moment where I just want to hold space that like, you can be whatever you need to be in summer. You don't have to just be happy or having fun all the time. If you're not having fun, if you're actually like grieving and processing through pain, that's okay. That doesn't just have to be reserved for when it's gloomy outside. And basically, I just want this to be a reminder that you're allowed to show up as you are at any given time, and have people meet you there, and you're not a burden for needing to show up in your pain, because that's your reality right now. And so basically this album I've listened to a billion times because it's so relevant to pain as well in so many different ways, and it goes through the 5 stages of grief. So denial, anger, depression, or bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And so even if things are going well, you know, you can be praising with the acceptance portion of the album. And so I love how at any given time, at least one, if not multiple sections of this album could be relevant to your life. And sometimes you might need to stream the entire album. Sometimes you might need to stream one particular stage of grief like over and over and over, or alternate between a couple stages over and over and over, which I did with denial and anger like so many times for a long time this past year. But I just think this is the coolest coping mechanism to get through life, and it's something I will just continue to always go back to. I'm so grateful that they made this, because this is gonna outlive them. Like, this is such a fantastic coping mechanism that is so timeless. And obviously they have their own particular situations that brought them to write the album, but it's obviously a universal emotional experience, so it kind of doesn't matter what certain lyrical specifics are, because it's gonna hit you in some way no matter what. And that's the thing, we all go through these same emotional processes, but too many people just like don't talk about it, or just keep it under wraps because it's inconvenient or it's not fun. Yeah, I just wanted to end on a serious, earnest, yet loving note of just know that no matter what season it is, it's always okay to be processing through hardship. And that doesn't mean you can't still enjoy the season. You can actually enjoy the season by processing through what you need to process through. And eventually you will want to do more of the like happier things, or the normal things, or whatever, however you want to categorize it in your mind. And so, yeah, I just want to remind you, things will keep moving. You will keep getting through it, whatever you're going through. And someday it won't be what it is right now. So do with that what you will. But yeah, those are the 8 albums that I have for you guys today. I appreciate you sticking around with me. I'm excited this month. I'm gonna have a really good mix of music and literature content, so stay tuned for both. I want to know if you've listened to any of these, what you thought of them, what your favorite tracks off of them were. Oh, I didn't say on the process, I really love the whole thing, but I really love Heartbreak Syndrome, and I really love Sis, or SIS. And I really love Long Dark Night, and Leave It Better Than You Found It, and Sweet Surrender. So many good tracks. But let me know if you've listened to any of these albums, what you thought of them. Even if you didn't like any, I'd love to hear like what you do enjoy listening to in the summertime. If there's any that seem especially exciting, if there's any other albums you have recommendations for that give similar vibes, any of the scenarios or feelings that any of these albums bring up, and any other thoughts that you guys have, I would love to hear them. So I hope you enjoy plenty of fun seasonal music this summer that makes you feel all of the feelings that you need to feel or want to feel. And I hope you enjoy many breezy car rides that are peaceful. And yeah, I hope, even if you have a busy summer, I hope you have tons of moments of space for breath in between what you're doing. And hopefully some of these things and music in general can be part of that like exhale process in the midst of whatever you're going through. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, fantastic day, night, afternoon, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.